Good morning, this is David Walsh, and I'm here to tell you if you want to see the greatest show of the season, the Celtic Angels, glorious singers direct from Ireland with live instrumental backing, and Celtic Knights dancers from Riverdance, get your tickets now. There are reserved seats left for this delightful show the whole family will enjoy. Don't know what to give for Christmas? Nothing better than giving someone tickets to the show critics rave about. There are reserved seats left, but you must act. This will be a great performance you don't want to miss. Gorgeous Irish lasses singing direct from the old sod. That's correct, right from Dublin. This all-star cast puts on a joyous show for the whole family. But you gotta get going. Call 772-564-5537. That's 564-5537. Or go online. VeroBeachSchools.tix.com. You will enjoy yourself.
After a surgery, injury, or hospital stay, your doctor may recommend home health care services to help you recover in the comfort and safety of your home. The Visiting Nurse Association's highly skilled nurses, therapists, and aides have been trusted to care for this community for over 40 years. The VNA is committed to providing patient-focused care so you can return to doing the things that are most important to you. When your doctor recommends home health care, you have a choice. Choose the VNA. Learn more at vnatc.com/choosevna.
Everybody knows the best gelato in town is at Sweet Kiss. Miracle Mile gift cards this holiday season. Get 5 free small cup gelatos buying them at Sweet Kiss. Every $25 gift card gets you 1 small cup of gelato free until December 23rd. Real European gelato shop. Great flavors made every day. Fresh on the premises. All natural ingredients. Perfect place to share a family dessert. And a small cup of gelato has about 80 to 150 calories depending on the flavor, so you can treat yourself without feeling guilty. Come visit Sweet Kiss. Oh, everybody would love a gift card from Sweet Kiss. Gelato Miracle Mile. You'll love it.
It's 2:30 in the morning. Someone is trying to break in, but your security system from Complete Electric and Alarm is working. Your home's on lockdown, security cameras are rolling, and the authorities are already on their way. That's the security of Complete Electric and Alarm. The best security money can buy. Call 388-0533. That's 388-0533. Online at CompleteElectricInc.com. Complete Electric and Alarm, Florida's premier alarm service.
Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the Airwaves, is ready to go. Talking to people you want to know. Face to face, one-on-one. Get the story and have some fun with Rhett Palmer.
And now, the most trusted name in radio, Rhett Palmer, the mayor of the Airwaves.
Yes, it is I, the mayor of the Airwaves. It is a beautiful day in paradise. How are you, ladies and gentlemen? And this is Rhett Palmer, of course, so in our 24th year, going 24 years now on the air. My co-host for the day is Beverly Osler. Good morning, Beverly. How are you?
Good morning, and that's a wonderful record, 24 years.
24 years, yes. We had to pay a lot of people off to continue to listen. Okay, on the phone we have my nephew. My nephew is the prodigal son, who I did not know exist a little over a year ago, but through, I don't know if it was Ancestry.com or 23andMe, but he found us, and now I'm running as fast as I can to stay away from him. How you doing there, nephew?
Indeed, I'm doing well, Uncle Rhett. How are you today?
I'm only kidding about that. You know, I'm delighted you're in my life already. I love you. You're my brother's son, and what a great Christmas gift a year ago to suddenly know that you're in my life. And this happened twice. In case people don't know the story, give them succinctly tell them the story. In a minute or less of what happened.
Well, my paternal sister, so Scott is our father, your brother. So she found you years ago, and then I did a DNA test with Ancestry, found my maternal family, and then I did a DNA test with 23andMe.com and found my paternal family. I linked to Cece, who is my sister, and your niece.
Which is quite amazing, because you not only got Cece as your half-sister, Then you found out you have a half-sister who's an attorney at law in upstate New York. You have another half-brother, right?
Yes.
Or two. Is it one or two?
One. So I have 3 siblings in total: a paternal sister and a maternal sister and brother. And I couldn't be luckier. They're all awesome.
And your mother, who I knew it from my teens. We were friends, Linda and I, and now not only are we reconciled, but now she's a part of my family forever. And so you have enriched me. It's just pretty dang incredible that we're all together now. Of course, you have to put up with your Uncle Rhett, who has a radio show down in Florida.
So, James, how did you like the idea that you had an uncle who was a radio host?
How do I like it?
Yeah, I mean, wasn't that a great discovery?
Yeah, well, it was very cool, and to see the musical connection, between Uncle Rhett and my dad, it's amazing.
Well, what's amazing is my brother had a preference for the flute, and he also played the keyboard, and was a little more inclined to go electronic than Radio Rhett. I'm more into acoustic. I like violins, cellos, So anyway, so we meet, and guess what the 2 instruments are that James plays? He plays the flute, and he's exceptional on the keyboard, and he does this sort of techno pop. I don't know how you could categorize it. It's not the stuff that's really my flavor. It was my brother's flavor. I'm still not that crazy about it, but I've also heard you play recently some acoustic piano, and the melodic stuff you do is phenomenal.
Thank you. Yeah, that was made on a synthesizer, but it's a grand piano sound. So yeah,
I loved it.
It's may as well be acoustic.
I loved it. Now you have a special guest on the line today, and who is this fella?
Mr. Thomas Ahern. He is the Senior Vice President and of Business Development for Calo Programs.
Calo.
Good morning, Thomas.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Thomas. So what is Calo? What's that all about?
Well, Calo, we're a family of specialized treatment centers that works primarily with young people who have experienced early life trauma, often complicated or impacted by adoption. We have 3 different units, if you will: an outpatient set of programs, a residential set, and a wilderness therapy set of programs in 5 states.
Huh. Now, of course, that causes people to get stuck emotionally, I think, right? By the way, in case you didn't know it, I also was adopted in this. I had I spent my life with my biological mother, but my biological father was killed in a car accident, and then I was adopted by a fellow my mom married for 6 short years. Very impressionable years, though, from 6 to 12. And then later on changed my name back to my birth name and never saw that other fellow again. But that's a semblance of being, it was legally adoption, so I don't know how that counts with you guys, but
sure counts. Yeah.
But this puts a lot of tell us the trauma that a lot of these people go through, and what do you do? You yourself are adopted, right?
Yeah, I was adopted. I was given up for adoption at 3 days old, and ultimately about a year and a half. At about a year and a half old, I was adopted into a family of 4 other adopted children in East Hartford, Connecticut. Grew up with some great parents, and had a really nice middle class life. But what happens oftentimes is when we talk about trauma, and this is kind of the issue, is that when there's a separation in the caregiver relationship, that something happens and it creates some vulnerability for people later on in life. And, oftentimes the stress that goes along with a newborn baby when they're separated from that individual that they've been preparing to meet for 9 months in uterine, because we now know from the literature and the research that children can hear, and they smell, and the rhythm of the heartbeat and all of that stuff. They're pre-programmed to make that connection, to attach to that caregiving bond. And then when that gets separated early in life, then it causes complications and sets people up for interpersonal problems later in life, and a variety of other things. I'm not trying to say that every single person has complications. It just creates some vulnerabilities that oftentimes with the young people that we're treating, there's usually some other form of something else happened, whether it's neglect or abuse or death or financial hardship that creates those complications, and that's what results in young people being sent to us to be helped to heal those wounds.
Yeah. Now, as you said, this baby, this embryo, is used to the mother's blood. It's used to the mother's fragrance, and we find out more and more how fragrances influence our lives. Now, Moses, for instance, Moses was put on the water, and he himself was adopted by the Pharaoh's family. But am I mistaken? Wasn't it? Did his actual mother, care for him in Pharaoh's house without Pharaoh knowing it? I forget the story. But
maybe James can help us out with that one.
James knows nothing. James knows nothing biblically. He's
doesn't want to.
No.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. So now you're not to speak for James. He can speak for himself.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, so you 3 days because they do say this. They say that people who are taken away from their mothers right initially sometimes tend to have, maybe it's a lack of love, or they're not nurtured, or they're not held. They say they tend to be not mass murderers, but they can be very bad individuals, that they have no connection to the human family. They're somehow, this separation can be very traumatizing to the baby and can, affect them the rest of their lives, right?
Yeah. Well, it's a kind of a complicated task that you ask people who are given up for adoption. You're in many ways they're being asked to attach to something that's really foreign to them, that their body and nature hasn't really prepared them to do. So, in many ways, I think of adopted people as actually having more of a problem with adjustment. And what we're asking them to do, if we were asking anybody to do that, some of the behaviors or characteristics that we notice or that we diagnose are actually pretty normal, given the context of the situation. So, we do know that about 70-75% of the time, adoption is a pretty good solution to a social problem, and it works out most of the time. What we're specialized in is helping to treat and understand and have compassion towards the 35% that have more difficulties and need to reach outside of the home for additional support or understanding or treatment. And that's where it comes in. I grew up in a family of a total of 5 adopted kids altogether.
Wow.
None of us ended up in residential treatment. But I had a brother who died of schizophrenia. I have 2 younger sisters who weren't able to complete high school.
Why?
But none of them ended up in therapy.
Why couldn't they finish high school?
Well, as with the kind of kids that we treat, it was more of a complex traumatic environment where, my adopted father, who, by the way, when we talk about adoption, language is really important.
Okay.
So, when I talk about my parents, I like to say that the parents are the people that brought me up. Those are the people that took care of me when I was sick and helped me get to school and, taught me how to tie my shoes and went to my baseball games. Those are my parents. So but then my birth parents are the people that were responsible for me, being on this earth. So, unfortunately, my father, died when I was 14 years old at my wrestling match, just dropped dead in my coach's arms, essentially.
Wow.
And that, I think, complicated things even further.
Well, that happened to the man who's on the line, too, James.
Oh, yeah, really, James?
Well, at the same age. I mean, my dad passed away when I was 15, so it's a difficult time in your life to lose someone so important to you.
Yeah. Especially if that's one of the main things that's sort of been holding you together, like keeping one foot on the ground while the other one is sort of fragmented, sort of hidden. So my original birth name was Stefan Roberto McCarthy, and I use that name to help describe that, Stefan doesn't sort of go away. He just lurks somewhere underneath it all, trying to figure out how not to be rejected again or given away again. So the journey of the adopted person is to figure out what I'm supposed to do to survive. When you're given away at birth and you grow up very vigilant and hypersensitive to loss, abandonment, and those kinds of things. So you spend a lot of time trying to figure out how to attach to this family and this system that doesn't feel natural, but you think that's what you're supposed to do. In the meantime, you've got this other person lurking in the background, wondering where's their place in the world. And so ultimately, at the ripe old age of 57, and having completed both my searches and reunite my birth parents, and be able to bring Stefan out of the closet, so to speak, and to integrate with Thomas Ahern, that's ultimately the goal, is the option to sort of bring those two pieces together and separate the wheat from the chaff and create one identity and that's one of the reasons I give this talk where I met James, is because that process helps to heal, and it helps to integrate, and it helps to get both feet on the ground so that you can actually fulfill your potential as a person.
Now, one thing I want to make sure that we do today, and that is this. We're talking about certain things, which is great. It's great to talk about things. But if I might ask you, when we can, let's tell stories that punctuate, because there's an old American Indian saying, and it is that if you tell me a fact, I'll learn. You tell me a truth, I'll believe. But if you tell me a story, it will live in my heart forever. And sometimes we talk about things, but I think the way to pull in the audience is to say, okay, if this happens, this, and even if you have to make up a story, or of course, best of course is a story that you can relate to that's true, but to demonstrate what happens in situations, wherever you can apply what I just said to, that would be appreciated. All right.
Sure.
So, I mean, like the fact that you lost your dad, that's, and you were how old? 14?
Yeah, I was 14 years old, and I was wrestling at East Hartford High School in Connecticut, and I had just completed my match, and I went downstairs to take a shower, and after the shower, I came back upstairs, and I saw a teacher named Mr. Harvey. I mean, these are things that are ingrained in my brain. And he says, "Have you seen your sister?" And I'm like, no, I haven't seen my sister. And so he goes, "You better go see her right away." So I'm walking across the auditorium or the gym in front of 500 people. And needless to say, I didn't know that an ambulance had just come and wheeled him out 5 minutes before I came in the door. And I just looked at my sister and I'm like, "What's up?" And she goes, "Daddy had a heart attack." And from there, I just sort of collapsed. And next thing you know, and this part's probably really foggy, I was sitting in the back seat of somebody's car on my way to a hospital, and I walked into St. Francis Hospital, which you're probably all familiar with, because at least James is, because he's from Connecticut. And I see my mother, and she looks at me, and she goes, and I had this fantasy, I was going to see my father, for whatever reason, sitting in a wheelchair with socks on and a bathrobe or something, and he was going to be okay. But when I walked through the door into this back room where they led me, I saw my mom, and she said, "Daddy's dead." And from there, I just started bawling my brains out, and the rest is pretty much a blur. But it was really at that point, that was a seminal time for me, as it is with many adoptees, by the way, that when there's a major life transition, whether it be a divorce or a marriage or a death, is that's when they want to start their search. And that seminal moment for me was really the beginning of my search for my identity.
And if there's one thing that the mayor of the Airwaves wants to see changed, it's the fact that who in the hell is the government, the United States government, or any other organization? Where do they get the nerve to think they should be able to thwart someone seeking out their roots to give them psychological balance and stability? I do not understand the coldness of heart or the manipulation or whatever it is, because just people never cease to amaze me at the way they want to control other people's lives. I mean, everybody ought to just let Muslims be Muslims, let the Christians be Christians, let the Jews be Jews, let the atheists be atheists, and let's let everybody just be who they are. If we'd all just back off instead of trying to control everybody, you know what I'm saying? But I want to make sure that we just don't talk about these things, because my greatest concern now is that we're going to have all these radio shows, and is anything ever going to change? How are we going to change the legislation? So was there a wall there that you couldn't get through, where you were not allowed to seek out your,
Yeah, great question. And, you'll be happy to hear that I was part of the 10-year process of helping to get Connecticut at least open their records from 1983 on, we failed this year, but we're awfully close and working really closely with the folks there. But the long and short of it is, so after my father died, I was able to, being the curious kid that I was, I went into his bedroom and started going through some stuff, and I found this gray box, and I brought it up into my room, and there I was. I found my adoption certificate, all my original stuff, and, the amended birth certificate, which, so I didn't have an original birth certificate. So I immediately said, okay, so I was too young to get anything. So I hid that stuff in my closet for a couple of years. But on my 18th birthday, I went down to probate court and said, hey, I want my birth certificate. And henceforth began the process. I'm 57 years old. I still have never seen an original birth certificate. I was the first person to sue the state of Massachusetts to try to get that birth certificate.
Hold on. This causes for a round of applause. Let me have some applause, Mr. B, right now. All right. I applaud you, and we applaud you. That's terrific.
So, but the point of the matter was, it's a long and sort of complicated story. As a young 18-year-old, I did everything from trying to, I talked to my family physician, told him my story. I asked him to pretend I had cancer, and would he call and get my birth certificate?
So you had to feign having cancer in order to solicit your birth certificate, so you could find out the DNA of your family, or?
Well, I just wanted to find out the name of my. I knew that my name was Stefan Roberto McCarthy, but I didn't know my parents' name. And ultimately, I really just wanted. I needed. I didn't want to. I needed to survive, to know their name, and ultimately to meet them. I just needed to meet them, and nothing was going to stop me. And ultimately,
and did you?
Yeah, eventually I did. I finally met my birth mother at 19 years old, but I had to. I fixed the guy's brake lines to get the money to pay this guy from that I learned through the University of Rhode Island. This guy was Paul Zanowski out of Westerly, Rhode Island. He had some kind of in Massachusetts because they have centralized records, births, deaths, marriages, and stuff like that. And because I had my birth name, I had to pay him $100, and he was able to get that to get my mother's name, and ultimately tracked her down and got a phone number. And to this day, I still have the original tape from 1979, which I play in my talks for the audience, so they can actually hear what my birth mother says when he said. Stefan Roberta McCarthy, born March 29th, 1960.
All right.
And she says, well, it looks like he's found his mother.
Yep. I have to take a break now. If people want to get in touch with you, why would they?
Well, there's lots of reasons why. One,
well, I tell you what, why don't you? I really haven't got time.
We'll talk about it after the break.
Yeah, well, okay, but give your website out now, because we're not going to come back on the recorded session afterwards. So go ahead. What's your website?
Okay, great. www.caloprograms.com.
All right, we'll be back.
Merry Christmas. This is Lieutenant Jay Needham with the Salvation Army of Indian River County. I just want to get a call out there to remind volunteers of this Christmas season to get out there and ring the bell. If you would like to help us out and ring the bell and remind people of the reason for this season, please call Elaine McNeil at 772-978-0265, extension 104. We are the Salvation Army, where we are doing the most good, and every bit of your money, 93 cents of every dollar, stays here locally and is used to help those in the most need in this community.
Hi, this is Pastor Richard Demsick, the missionary pastor of 923 Community, a ministry of Christ Church. And you might have heard me on the radio with Rhett Palmer on Mondays from 8 to 11 a.m. and Tuesdays 6 to 8 a.m. I just wanted to wish you a Merry Christmas and encourage you to be the Christmas miracle you want to see in the world. We will be celebrating Christmas Eve at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. at 667 20th Street in Vero Beach in the Community Center on the 20th Street side. We'd love to have you there. You're not just welcomed, you're wanted. God bless.
Everybody knows about the Ocean Grill. Yeah, famous throughout the world. I travel throughout the world, and people actually go, yeah, I dined somewhere in Vero Beach. What was the name of that? Oh, the place where Bono goes, or Bon Jovi. Also, that's where I met Pat Sajak and John Walsh from America's Most Wanted, and that's where the mayor of the Airwaves goes. Okay, I love their crispy duck, or their famous cream spinach, the pompano with apricot sauce, shrimp cocktail, always perfectly. Look, a great gift idea this holiday season, a gift certificate from the Ocean Grill. Gift certificate from the Ocean Grill. There's nobody that wouldn't want a gift certificate from the Ocean Grill on Ocean Drive Beach.
Hi, this is Eric Benger, Director of the Vero Beach Regional Airport. The entire team at our airport would like to wish our community a very happy and peaceful holiday season. Merry Christmas from the Vero Beach Regional Airport.
This is the mayor of the Airwaves. Merry Christmas from everyone over here at Vero's Voice Magazine and Rhett Palmer Live. Our staff and crew want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas, Bedford Falls. Merry Christmas, Vero Beach. This is the mayor of the Airwaves, waking you up every morning. Nice folks like you, it's my pleasure. Who loves you, baby? I've got some great gift ideas for the holidays. How about a gift certificate from Mark's Hair Salon on Royal Palm Point? Who doesn't want a gift certificate for their nails or get their hair done?